Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will discuss the possibility of de-escalation at LAC amid continued mobilization of troops and artillery by China and India in eastern Ladakh. The line of actual control in Ladakh sector is getting hotter by the day, with China making increasing attempts to intimidate India. According to reports, China has mobilized up to 50,000 troops and deployed fighter planes, tanks, heavy artillery and missiles at the LAC. As a countermove, India too has deployed matching troops along with tanks and other military assets. This has made the situation all the more grave, and anything can happen if restraint is lost. In the agenda today, we will discuss how serious the situation is and whether de-escalation is possible even now. We have with us retired Brigadier Sandeep Thapar and former diplomat Ambassador Dr. Deepak Vora. But before we begin our conversation, let us have a look at this small report.
As China continues to escalate tensions at the line of actual control, India is refusing to be cowed down. India is sending a demonstrative message to China that it is ready to meet any challenge that is posed by the northern neighbor. To convey the message, India has mobilized thousands of troops along with tanks, air assets, air defense system and heavy artillery near the LSC in Ladakh. This action by India follows intimidation's attempt by China, which has amassed huge number of troops, estimated to be 50,000 along the Ladakh sector of LAC. China has also reportedly deployed 150 fighter aircraft, tanks, heavy artillery, missiles and air defense system. The Chinese move to intimidate India started after Indian Army swiftly occupied key heights to prevent the PLA from grabbing Indian territory on August 29th. The Indian Army has also taken control of key heights overlooking the PLA's deployment on the Finger 4 ridge line on the northern bank of Pangong So. As a part of intimidating move, the Chinese People's Liberation Army lines up 20 to 30 tanks and thousands of soldiers almost on a daily basis in the Spangur area. According to officials, Indian soldiers are barely a few hundred meters from Chinese troops on Finger 4. Chinese troops have already made an attempt to close in on Indian forward position, which was thwarted by the Indian troops. After that, the frustrated Chinese troops fired in the air, marking first firing incident at the LSC in 45 years. India, while exercising restraint, is making it clear that it will match China in terms of numerical and other capabilities if a conflict is forced upon it. Clearly, India is taking China hat on. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our special guests, Brigadier Thapar and Ambassador Vora. Welcome to the program, sir. So my first question is Brigadier Thapar to you. So you have seen the amassing of troops by both India and China. So how serious, if we go by a report that there are 50,000 troops by Chinese on the Chinese side and the matching number on India side with military asset, tanks, heavy artillery, etc. So how serious is that situation?
See, I would be lying if I didn't say that it is very grim, it is serious and very precarious. Two things in this. Firstly, we have matched China troop for troop, soldier for soldier, equipment for equipment. So we have parity as far as the troops build-up is concerned in that sector. Now, having said that, and with India having occupied the heights, especially in Chushul sector, which we've been seeing in the past 3-4 days, we have an upper hand as far as China is concerned, in this sector at least. So, if China wants to do anything serious, that is to recover some territory or capture some quid pro quo, it requires far larger troops, because with the current strength, which is matched between the two countries, there's no way it can grab, barring one odd either somewhere, that too by surprise. So it has to have accretions, and definitely in this sector, there's nothing much it can do. Now, having said that, why I say precarious is when troops are eyeball to eyeball
Right.
and tensions are high. The kind of activity which Chinese are carrying out, coming out with sticks and things tied to them, weapons tied to them.
They are, I think, doing maneuvers also.
Yes. So this is there could be one odd spark could generate a local fight between the two parties, which could further deteriorate the situation. So I'm worried about that local spark which may ignite and create a bit of a problem. As a battle, deliberate operation being carried out by China, I do not think it is possible, at least in Chushul.
But sir, China looks like desperate, isn't it? They want to capture those heights which India has occupied. They want to capture somehow.
Of course, there is. Mr. Wall will tell you more about it. China has a gathering of its PLA and the leaders sometime end of this month or beginning next month, where it wants to be able to declare that, see, we've taught India a lesson, or we've recovered the territory, or we've captured, reclaimed our lost territory. But at this present moment, it will not be able to say that. So, and with our offensive action which we've done the past 2 days, taking those couple of heights, we have further deteriorated he's lost face. And
Right.
Chinese losing face is a tremendous thing.
So, Ambassador Vora, if I turn to you, China looks like desperate to do something militarily, and talks are going on, but I don't think they give too much of credence to talks. Am I right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaul. I trust you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, please.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to learn from you. It's always a pleasure, given the breadth and depth of your knowledge and wisdom, and also with Brigadier Saab. Brigadier Saab, delighted to be with you on the program. You raised this issue about India versus China, or China versus India. May I expand that? Today, it's not just China versus India, it's China versus the rest of the world.
So my topic
military-
is actually India is taking China head on. That is the topic actually.
I entirely agree with you. But because India is taking China head on, China is beginning to feel threatened, since the rest of the world, willy-nilly, the rest of the world is also on India's side. Now, sir, what you need when you take on a country, when you exercise your power, you need decisive leadership, you need diplomatic outreach, you need economic strength, and you need military power. I believe today, for the first time in independent India's history, all four are converging in India, which is why we've been able to take on China the way we have. China's intention was to frighten us. China, of course, has tried to prove to the world that they are supreme in strategy. They are brilliant. They are invincible. They have a brilliant economy which cannot be pulled down by anybody. All that is psychological warfare. The reality on the ground is very different. They sought to frighten us. They did not expect that we would respond the way we did, particularly in the last 2 or 3 days. In a preemptive move, according to reports, we have occupied heights that allow us to dominate some of China's, shall I say, the jugular of China in that area. Mr. Kaul, I do want to say one other thing, that China's ambition is not limited to Ladakh. China's ambition goes beyond Pakistan, that they have already taken, Afghanistan, that they are trying, and now Iran. And what stands like the Rock of Gibraltar, like the Himalaya mountain, like Mount Everest, in their march to global domination through our area by expanding westward, is India. That is the important thing. So if India is building its military strength, it is perfectly justified. When the defense minister said, while inducting the Rafale aircraft, the French defense minister was there, into the Indian Air Force, He said that it's not just our territorial integrity that we are going to safeguard. Sir, this is a paradigm shift. He's talked about India's interest in the Indo-Pacific in the South China Sea. That
Right.
now we too are in a position to project our power outside our immediate borders. We will match China, a man for man, weapon for weapon, stratagem for stratagem, and we will beat them. This is the message. I believe the Chinese would have got this very, very clear. If there has to be a conflict, I would imagine it has to come in the remaining few weeks of this month, but the Chinese will not dare do it. That is my assessment. Sir, right at this time, I'm in New York in the United States, and let me just tell you here too, the animosity, the anger against China has to be seen and heard to be believed.
So, what do you make of foreign ministers of the two countries meeting today?
Sir, the foreign ministers, as we always say, that when they meet in an unstructured manner, that is always very good because it enables the personal chemistries to come into play. There is no delegation level talks where we have something that we have to talk about this, that, and the other. This will be a freewheeling conversation, and knowing our former foreign secretary and present foreign minister, he is a match for anybody in the universe. So the talks will certainly take place. It's when those diplomatic talks fail, sir, that the guns start booming, and when the guns fall silent, it's diplomatic talks that come back. It's a complete circle. We are at stage one. I do hope China will understand that India is no pushover. India is in a position now to teach China a lesson that it will not forget for the rest of its history, sir.
Brigadier Thapar, if I turn to you, as I talked about China's desperation, and China's desperation seems to be like limited to Ladakh. They want to somehow gain hold in that area. I mean, they are not doing anything in Arunachal, they are not doing anything in Sikkim, but they want to focus somehow on this. Why? What is the strategic importance?
See, we had this discussion on your channel earlier also. It is basically they felt threatened to their Belt and Road Initiative, CPEC, with Pakistan. Then their highway, which is connecting there north of Depsang. With the developments, J&K, certain statements we made that we'll take back everything, POK and sidechain in the parliament, certain statements were made by leaders. So it did convey, they were probably apprehensive that we would do something there. So to safeguard their own interests, their own road initiatives, their own communication network, they carried out certain activities all along the sector. They still have us guessing. Subsequently, with the Galwan incident, it became a little more serious. Possibly they did not have this in mind that it would go down, the situation would rapidly descend and reach a situation where war would seem inevitable. Both sides carried out their reinforcements and accretions. And now you have something like we have in Pakistan, face-to-face, eyeball-to-eyeball deployment against each other all along the sector. Now, what happens in future is we still have like you said, this talks today, then we have a core commander talk coming up. And possibly, like everyone's saying, it is important to diffuse this crisis basically through dialogue. Because unless the initiative is taken by the leaders of both the nations, Xi Jinping and our Prime Minister, we are definitely heading towards something in this sector with China. Because it's been on for now about 4 months. And somewhere the pressure has to release. And like I said, China has to show face, save its face, that we succeeded in what we went to do.
So, Brigadier Thapar, so does it mean that China miscalculated India's response? They were taken by a surprise that India will match up?
Absolutely. What happened in the initial part was that we were bound by our protocols and treaties which we had, and we were, like we always do.
We abide by those, yeah.
we abide by those until the last moment, whereas China did not.
Correct.
It took us a little time to realize that China is slowly creeping that salami slicing thing. It had put all the treaties into back burner and was saying that LAC, what I claim is mine.
Right.
Your claim you can keep hanging on to it, but it will be my claim which will be the LAC.
So it's kind of bullying.
It was kind of a bullish,
kind of a bullying.
yeah, bullying behavior.
Yeah.
That and it was reaching out to places which from 50s it had never claimed those. These were places where the LAC was more or less accepted between both nations that it runs along this line. Even there they made certain claims. They thought they could push us over. They did not anticipate the Indian reaction. India is not, this is not 1962, and India is not a small power. It's a very big regional power.
India is no more a pushover.
Yes, we are not a pushover. I don't like that word to be used against for the Indian Army. We are no pushovers. So we built up, now we matched them, then we went on the offensive, which they were absolutely not expecting. That is, preemptive taking over of certain places. These were places along the LAC where traditionally neither of the two
Correct. Neither are occupied.
sat on them
Yeah.
occupied them because of various reasons. But the moment we went and sat on them, now we can dominate the entire Bordeaux garrison, the Spangbour Gap. Their tanks can keep sitting there. There's no way those tanks can come through the Spangbour Gap. And if they can't come through the Spangbour Gap, they definitely can't come over the mountains. So we made this entire armor force redundant. And we are overlooking them, all their activities. They, on the contrary, can't see into our area because we are holding the heights.
Right.
So the tables have turned.
Right.
I do not visualize anything happening in this unless a local face-off between both the two patrols turns violent and firing takes place and some people are killed. And otherwise, because they do not have the superiority, numerical superiority to take advantage of any place. It could happen in Depsang, it could happen in Galwan, but definitely not in Chushul because now there is parity between the forces. And as you know, in mountains, to capture some place, you have to have 3:1 superiority over the
Right.
defender. In this place, in high altitude, it is 6:1, and even in places 12:1. So if there's a battalion
Because
sitting
of low
there,
oxygen level.
yes, and the difficulty in movement and the time taken in movement. What normally you and I will walk in the plains 1 kilometer in say 10 minutes, 1 kilometer there could possibly take
1 hour.
More than 40 minutes. So there is difficulty in movement, lack of oxygen, lack of cover, a lot of things are there. So it is very difficult for them to yes, our defenses are not very well prepared because we've just gone in. But I can tell you, infantry, once it goes into and takes over a particular place, give it 7 days, it is capable of entrenching itself
Yeah.
to take any attack. So we are ready for them. Let them come. It is their own risk. They will suffer.
So we are ready for them. Ambassador Vora, you wanted to say something, I guess.
I wanted to add, sir, that many years ago when I was studying in the United States, I attended some lectures by a person who's called the father of the law of unintended consequences, Robert Merton, a sociologist. He had said that you might take purposive action, you might look at a particular objective, but there can be unintended consequences. In the case of China, their adventurism in Ladakh has led to this unintended consequence of India discovering its strength, understanding what it is capable of and giving the Chinese a bloody nose. So this is one of the unintended consequences. They thought they would frighten us. We would back off given our Gandhian philosophy and so on, but we have stood firm. The second unintended consequence, this is very, very interesting. In 2019, you might recall there were reports that President Trump of the United States was considering withdrawing from NATO. He said the other NATO fellows are not paying their due shares, etc.,
Right.
etc. Now, this raised concern in Japan and South Korea. America's closest allies in East Asia. But thanks to the stupidity of the Chinese leadership and the unintended consequences of what they are doing, sir, it is clear that the United States will remain engaged in that region for a long time. So what the very basic issue here is they have overplayed their hand and they are suffering for this.
So they don't know how to get out now.
Exactly, sir. They are in a trap of their own making and they do not know how to get out of it. They are looking for what they call face saving. Well, let me just tell you, sir, we don't like this face of the Chinese Communist Party, so why should we try to save it? Let them put on another more democratic face. The world will welcome it, sir.
So, Ambassador Vora, I may point out one more thing, one more development that has taken place. India and Japan have signed a military, logistical and reciprocal support agreement. How do you see that in this context? I mean the prevailing situation.
Precisely because of the aggressiveness of the Chinese vis-a-vis India, vis-a-vis Japan and vis-a-vis the rest of its neighbors across the South and East China Seas, this is happening. We hadn't done this earlier, sir, but in the last few years we have recognized and we have realized, we've accepted that the biggest threat to the future of the world is not nuclear war, but is the unbridled ambition of China. China never considered India a rival. For them, we were a pushover. The United States was the rival that they wanted to clobber. But suddenly, the new Himalaya has stood up.
But sir,
before they can go much further, they have to
Ambassador,
deal with us.
Ambassador Vora, if I may interrupt you, I have covered this India-China talks for long. And China always said we are not rivals, we are competitors, we are not enemies.
Oh, absolutely. They said they are not rivals of India because they thought India was a non-entity.
And they always talked about rise of Asia, and now suddenly it has become rise of China only.
Now they want a unipolar world. They want China. They think they have the mandate from heaven. Sir, you are aware that this fellow called Xi Jinping, whatever he writes is now studied by party cadres. It's become essential teachings in school and colleges as though it is some kind of divine knowledge. I mean, this kind of rubbish absolutely is eating the innards of Chinese society. Because of their one-child policy, their population is aging and declining. China is frightened and disoriented. They feel they have a few years if they wish to conquer the world. But this dream that they have is not going to be realized. Already they are beginning to see that it's a pipe dream, sir.
Okay, Brigadier Thapar, if I may refer you to the same this agreement signed between India and Japan. Strategically, how important is it?
Well, along with, as Ambassador Vora said, along with Quad, we are aligning towards the anti-China forces. And it is a welcome step if countries like Australia, America, and Korea and Japan support us. That means China is getting isolated in the world. At this moment, I see only Pakistan and possibly its satellite states, North Korea and others who support China. Rest nobody does. So, and the whole world as it is anti-China because of the virus. Because everyone knows that they are the ones who spread it around the world. Now, another interesting thing what came to my mind was what Ambassador Vora said about one-child policy. While it is taught in the army that you never underestimate your enemy, but let's remember that Chinese army is a conscription army. They come there for 2 to 5 years. He's come there to make money for his education and probably open up some business later on. Whatever he earns in those 2 to 5. He is not interested. He's not a career soldier. He's not interested in fighting. And he's a single child. So the parents also worried. There's a tremendous, what reports we are getting.
So he's like a mercenary.
No, it's not mercenary. If he was mercenary, then he would still be dangerous. He is somebody who just come to serve those 2 years. He's not like our soldiers who
are passionate.
Yes, he's there to do his 2 years, 3 years. They've never stayed in those heights. We are experts in modern warfare. We have served all over. I've had at least 14 years of my service in above 14,000 feet. So we are well tuned. it'll be problematic for them if this carries on, if it pulls for long to settle there, to live there, to survive there. It'll be a big problem. And I do not envy their commanders, because they're going to have very tough time controlling their troops, because they are not career soldiers. They are not professionals. They're just time pass, 2 years, people who come for 2 years to make some money, so that, because it's compulsory.
So our time is running out. One last question, maybe I'll ask Ambassador Vora. I may refer you to Taiwan. Taiwan Defense Ministry today said that Chinese aircraft fighters, they intruded into their airspace twice during last 2 days. My question is actually, is it time for India to stand up with Taiwan or speak up for Taiwan against China?
So that's a brilliant question that you've asked, very perceptive. Yes, it is time now for India, and this is my personal opinion. We already have very strong economic relations with the Republic of China, also known as Taiwan. It is time now to give them diplomatic recognition. This is a personal opinion. Many people in the United States support this. We support the one China policy, but that one China is Taiwan.
The US is open about it, but we are reticent. Ambassador
I didn't
Vora,
hear you, sir.
I'm saying US is very open about its relations with Taiwan. I think the Czech speaker is also visiting Taiwan right now. People, countries around the world are now opening up to Taiwan, but we are still reticent about it.
But sir, why should we be afraid of our own strength? We have the competence, we have the capability, we have the power to do what we want. The Chinese foreign minister goes off to Berlin, and there he starts abusing the president of the Czech Senate, who had gone to Taiwan, and says we are going to teach the Czech Republic a lesson. And then the German foreign minister, standing behind him in the press conference, says, Mr. Foreign Minister, behave yourself. This is not the place to give threats. They've lost their mind. They've lost their marbles. They are disoriented, sir. Please mark my words. They don't know what they are doing. They have got into a trap of their own making, and they don't know how to get out of it.
I think before we conclude, I think Brigadier Thapar wants to say something. Is it?
No, I really enjoyed the predicament China is in, as told by Ambassador Vora, and it's really interesting that I only thought China had been isolated, but I didn't know that they were getting so embarrassed in a world forum.
Yeah, of course, China is getting embarrassed and isolated around the world, and India is taking them head on. And our time is running out. Thank you so much to both of you for participating in this debate.
Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.